Story 1. My name is Mark, and I've always been drawn to the eerie and mysterious. So, when I checked into the old Ravenswood Inn on a dark and stormy night, I specifically asked for the room with the most chilling history, room 13. The innkeeper hesitated but finally handed me the creaky, brass key, warning me that no one had stayed in that room for years. Ignoring his ominous words, I eagerly made my way up the narrow, dimly lit staircase to the top floor. As I entered room 13, a shiver ran down my spine. The air felt heavy with an unspoken dread, and the room was ice cold despite the storm outside. The walls were adorned with faded wallpaper that seemed to depict faces contorted in agony. A single, flickering candle on the bedside table was my only source of light. I settled into the room, trying to shake off the unease that had taken hold of me. Thunder rumbled in the distance as I climbed into the ancient four-poster bed. Just as I was about to drift off, I heard it, a faint, mournful whisper that seemed to emanate from the very walls. Leave. Leave. I sat up, my heart pounding. Was it my imagination? My rational mind told me it must be, but the voice was so real, so haunting. I dismissed it as a trick of the wind, but the wind couldn't mimic the sorrowful tone of that voice. Determined to prove to myself that I was in control, I called out, "Who's there?" Silence hung in the room for what felt like an eternity, and I began to think that I had indeed imagined it. But just as I was about to settle back down, the whisper returned, stronger this time. Leave. Before it's too late. My curiosity outweighed my fear. I had to know more. I grabbed the candle and ventured deeper into the room. As I approached the far corner, the floorboards groaned underfoot, and I noticed a loose board. With trembling hands, I pried it up to reveal a hidden compartment beneath the floor. Inside, I found a tattered journal. The pages were yellowed with age, and the handwriting was almost illegible, but I managed to decipher some entries. The journal belonged to a previous guest, a man named Samuel, who had stayed in room 13 many years ago. He wrote of strange occurrences, of hearing the same haunting whispers and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Samuel had become obsessed with uncovering the room's dark history and had spent his nights searching for answers. One entry stood out. The room. It wants something. It craves release, and I fear I may be its vessel. I can't leave until I find out what it wants. As I read those words, a frigid gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the candle. Darkness enveloped me, and the whispers grew louder, more desperate. Find the truth. Or join us. My heart raced as I fumbled for my flashlight. I needed to leave, to escape the malevolent presence in room 13. But something inside me refused to give up. I needed to uncover the truth, just like Samuel. With the flashlight in hand, I delved deeper into the room, searching for clues, for answers. The whispers grew more insistent, almost pleading. And then, in a hidden alcove behind a crumbling section of the wallpaper, I found it, a dusty, old photograph of a family. The faces were distorted, their expressions twisted in agony. It was the same image as on the wallpaper. As I stared at the photograph, the room seemed to come alive with a terrible energy. The walls groaned, and the whispers reached a deafening crescendo. I knew I had to escape. I rushed out of the room, slamming the door behind me, and descended the staircase as quickly as my trembling legs could carry me. The innkeeper's eyes widened as I handed him the key and told him about my night in room 13. He nodded knowingly and muttered, "It's hungry. Always hungry." I left the Ravenswood Inn that night, my mind haunted by the voices and the chilling history of room 13. I knew that I had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. And as I looked back at the looming inn, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had fallen victim to its malevolent charm. So, if you ever find yourself drawn to the mysterious and the eerie, remember this cautionary tale and think twice before staying in room 13 of the Ravenswood Inn. The room is hungry, and it won't rest until it claims its next victim. Story 2. My name is Sarah, and my fascination with the supernatural led me to an old, abandoned mansion nestled deep within the woods. I had heard whispers of a music box, a cursed music box that played a haunting melody that could drive a person to madness. I couldn't resist the allure of the unknown, so I ventured into the mansion one moonless night. The mansion was a decaying masterpiece, its grandeur faded into disrepair. Cobwebs hung from chandeliers, and dust covered every surface. As I explored the eerie hallways, the silence was broken only by the creaking of the floorboards beneath my feet. Finally, I found the room rumored to house the cursed music box. The door swung open with an eerie screech, revealing a chamber bathed in a dim, bluish light. In the center of the room sat an ornate music box, covered in dust and neglect. I approached the music box cautiously, my heart pounding with excitement and fear. As I opened the lid, a gust of wind rushed through the room, extinguishing the candles that lined the walls. Darkness enveloped me, and a chill settled in the air. I wound the crank slowly, and the music box sprang to life with an enchanting yet eerie melody. It was a haunting tune that seemed to seep into my very soul. Mesmerized by the music, I couldn't tear myself away. But as the melody continued, I felt a growing unease. Shadows danced on the walls, and a presence seemed to materialize in the room with me. The music's sweetness turned to discord, and the once lovely melody became a cacophony of madness. I tried to close the music box, but it resisted, the crank turning on its own accord. Panic set in as I realized I was trapped in a nightmarish symphony. The room echoed with ghostly voices, and I felt hands, cold and insistent, reaching for me from the darkness. I fought to break free, but the room seemed to close in around me. The walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and I feared I was descending into madness. In a final act of desperation, I hurled the cursed music box to the ground. It shattered into pieces, and the room fell silent. The shadows retreated, and the bluish light faded. I was left trembling and gasping for breath on the cold, hard floor. I stumbled out of the mansion, vowing never to return. The cursed music box and its malevolent melody had nearly claimed me, but I had escaped its clutches. As I looked back at the decrepit mansion, I couldn't help but wonder how many others had ventured in, lured by the promise of the supernatural, only to be ensnared by the cursed music box. So, if you ever hear whispers of a haunted mansion and a cursed music box, heed this cautionary tale and stay far away. The melody may be alluring, but the price of curiosity could be your sanity. Story 3. My name is Emily, and I've always had a fascination with the unknown. One day, I stumbled upon an antique store nestled in a quiet corner of town. Inside, I found an ornate, full-length mirror that exuded an eerie allure. The shopkeeper warned me that it was no ordinary mirror but one with a dark history, and he reluctantly sold it to me. The mirror was a masterpiece, its frame adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to depict scenes of despair and torment. As I hung it in my bedroom, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, as though the mirror held a secret it longed to reveal. That night, as I gazed into the mirror before bed, I saw a reflection that wasn't mine. It was a shadowy figure, a woman with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. She beckoned me closer, and a sense of dread washed over me. I stepped back, my heart pounding, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. The figure whispered, her voice a haunting melody, "Come closer, Emily. Come and see." Compelled by an irresistible force, I moved toward the mirror. My reflection merged with the figures, and I found myself in a dark, nightmarish realm. The room was filled with grotesque, shifting shapes, and the walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. The figure, now standing before me, revealed her name, Isabella. She had been trapped within the mirror for centuries, cursed to lure unsuspecting souls into her world. She spoke of the agony she had endured and the insatiable hunger for companionship that tormented her. Desperate to escape, I pleaded with Isabella to release me. She agreed, but there was a price. She needed a new host, someone to take her place within the mirror. I was hesitant, but the nightmare world was closing in around me, and I had no choice. Isabella's reflection merged with mine once more, and I felt a searing pain as her essence transferred into me. I was trapped within the mirror, my consciousness bound to the cursed glass. As the new guardian of the mirror, I now whispered to those who approach, my voice a haunting melody. I beckoned them closer, luring them into the dark, nightmarish realm. I am Isabella's vessel, and my torment is endless. So, if you ever come across an antique store with a mysterious mirror, heed this cautionary tale and resist its eerie allure. The reflection you see may not be your own, and the price of curiosity could be your very soul.